Testing, testing, okay. This time I'd like to call the Oversight Board of the City of Garden Grove successor agency to the Garden Grove Agency for Community Development meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Member Delp?
Here.
Member Guerrero?
Here.
Vice Chair Jones? Here. Chair Dalton?
Here.
And Member Dunn, Harris, and Mefford are absent.
At this time, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance by Christie.
Please join me in saluting the flag to our great nation. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, we'll go to public comments. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this matter? I'll open the public hearing. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing or public comments and go to consent items.
So you just have the minutes from September 24th?
I'll move it.
Can I have a motion? And I'll second. Call for the vote.
I'll abstain as I was not present at that meeting.
Motion received, 3 yes votes.
Okay, items for consideration.
Mr. Chair, your item here is to consider a contract for the construction of what we call the Harbor Boulevard Improvement Project. That's landscaping, hardscape, median, traffic, a variety of public improvements on Harbor Boulevard related to the resort area. And Mr. Della Longa is here to give a staff report on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Fertal. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the Oversight Board. The item before you tonight for your consideration is a request to adopt a resolution approving and ratifying the approval by the successor agency of a contract to GMC Engineering, Inc. for the construction of Phases 1A and 1B of the Harbor Boulevard Improvement Project from Garden Grove Boulevard to Chapman Avenue. As required by the 2009 Disposition and Development Agreement with Garden Grove MXD, which is a Department of Finance approved enforceable obligation, the agency is obligated to provide all off-site landscape and streetscape work to link the Water Park Hotel project with the existing resort improvements to the north. This includes both sides of the street and the medians. The city is the lead agency for this project as it relates to the California Environmental Quality Act and has prepared an initial study to assess the project's potential environmental impacts. Based on the initial study, the project will not have a significant effect on the environment, and a negative declaration has been prepared and last night approved. Phase 1A of the project addresses the landscape improvements associated with the Water Park Hotel project. These are required by the aforementioned Disposition and Development Agreement with the developer. This phase will be 50% funded by the Redevelopment Property Tax Trust Fund through the ROPS process and 50% funded by a federal grant from the Economic Development Administration. Phase 1B is for storm drain and sewer drain improvements at Twin Tree Lane, Chaucer Road, Green Tree Avenue, and Bangor Street. This phase of the project will be funded by federal grants from the Economic Development Administration and the Environmental Protection Agency. Based on the foregoing, staff is making the following recommendations. Independently review and consider the information in the city's initial study and negative declaration pursuant to California Environmental Quality Act guidelines and find that no further environmental review is required. Adopt the attached resolution approving and ratifying the successor agency's approval to award a contract to the lowest responsible and responsive bidder, GMC Engineering, Inc., for Phases 1A and 1B, the Harbor Boulevard Improvement Project, and authorize the director to transmit the adopted resolution and contract to the State Department of Finance, the County Auditor Controller, and the County Administrative Officer. That concludes my report, and I'm available for questions.
Any questions for staff? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Anybody else?
Pick
Motion
any-
received,
pick
4
any
yes votes.
selection you want. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Motion received, 4 yes votes.
Okay. 3B.
Mr. Chair, 3B was a last-minute add to the agenda. This has to do with the settlement agreement regarding residents of the RV park. There might have been some procedural, I wouldn't say misinformation, or we just misread as to what would normally go through the Oversight Board and the DOF as far as the settlement agreement with that lawsuit. The successor agency put on the most current ROPS that you adopted back in September monies to address the settlement agreement. We heard back from the Department of Finance that putting those dollar requests on the ROPS, it was denied because we did not come to the Oversight Board. So I think there was some misunderstanding, or maybe we didn't know how a settlement agreement, it wasn't necessarily a project, whether it would come to the Oversight Board or not. The Department of Finance has indicated that it should come to the Oversight Board prior to being put on the ROPS. So we're here today to actually have the Oversight Board adopt a resolution for an amount that you actually approved in September to put on the ROPS. Jim, I don't know if we need to add any more than that, or if we need to remind them of what the settlement agreement was. I don't know if you remember the lawsuit we had with the RV park.
Right.
I don't know if there's any more.
No, I think you covered it.
So it's more of a fulfilling a technical requirement by the DOF to actually have the Oversight Board adopt a resolution approving it. As I said in the September meeting, you did approve this amount on the ROPS, but we didn't have a separate action by the board approving the settlement agreement.
Okay, any questions for staff?
I'm sorry, just since I wasn't here, would you mind just giving a brief overview of what the lawsuit was?
I guess back in 2009, when the agency began acquiring the RV park where the water park hotel is, there were, at the time, 38 or 43 residents still remaining on the RV park, and they are entitled to relocation benefits. Through a housing advocate law firm, they came forward and said, well, redevelopment agency, not only do you have certain obligations relative to the people that are here today, but 3 years prior or 5 years prior, they also had some very technical definitions of what the agency, whenever we remove a housing unit, the law requires us to replace that housing unit somewhere in the community, and we had proposed to do it a certain way. The lawsuit suggested we do it another way. So as part of that settlement, we agreed to replace those units in new construction. So in 4 years, there'll be some projects in town, new construction that would be affordable, as well as, of course, their attorney's fees. So the amount in the ROPS that was approved for the next 6 months, January through July, included monies for the attorney's fees, and then some money set aside to help develop those affordable units, new construction. Was it 1.9 million total?
That's what we're estimating. It also included additional relocation for some of the occupants.
Additional benefits, like $5,000, $10,000 for each of those 38 that were there at the time of the project. So that was a settlement, and those dollars were put into the next ROPS that went to the DOF October 1st, and they came back and said that may or may not be fine, but what you didn't do was have the Oversight Board take an action on it.
Thank you.
So that's what we're asking you to do right now.
Okay, any other questions for staff?
No, I'm happy to move it.
You have a motion? And
Second.
And a second. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 4 yes votes.
Okay, matters, do you want to give any overview or anything?
Yeah, I'll take a few minutes to update you on a few things. Obviously, construction of the Water Park Hotel is moving along on schedule for an opening of January 2016. If you haven't been by the site recently, there's quite a bit of activity, a lot of things coming out of the ground. So very pleased with the progress that they're making so far. A couple of other projects, the Brookers Triangle, which is a mixed-use residential project. They should be breaking ground in January. The construction drawings are just about through plan check, and they'll be sending those out as part of to bid the cost to construct the project. And they should have that back by the end of the year. And all indications are they'll be under construction, at least for Phase 1, in January. We're also completing the relocation. There's still a handful of businesses on the site. There is a furniture store, a couple of automotive uses, and we've given them till December 31st to relocate, and we're in the process of assisting those businesses relocating to new locations. So we'll do a demo of those last remaining buildings on the corner soon after the first of the year. So the good news is that project is progressing. What we refer to as the Site C hotel property, although that was not approved by the DOF as an enforceable obligation, through our property management plan that the board approved several months ago, there is a provision that the property acquired by the redevelopment agency can be transferred to the city, provided we enter into what we call compensation agreements with all the different taxing entities, including the county and the sanitation district and the school district. There was hope, and I don't know if we updated you, that there was a bill by Senator Steinberg back in June that was approved by the Senate and the Assembly and forwarded to the governor that would eliminate that step. We wouldn't have to go to the taxing entities and get all of them to approve a compensation agreement. The governor had till September 30th to sign it, and on September 30th he announced that he wasn't going to sign it. So we lost about 3 months during the summer that we could have finalized these agreements, but now we're back in the final stages of getting a new agreement out to the taxing entities. We'd like to get that done certainly by the end of the year, and maybe even before. There's a lot of boards that are going to be changing in December, and we'd like to have had them approve that by then. I don't know if we'll meet that. But that is going concurrent. In the meantime, the developer has identified a financial partner to move the project forward. We'll be meeting that partner on Tuesday, as well as they've identified a potential flag, a well-known international brand that would certainly be quite an addition to the resort if we are able to secure that. So things are progressing. We lost about 3 months in the summer, unfortunately, but that's moving forward. The other big project, what we call the B2 resort, the developer is still looking at options of expanding that project. They look very favorable to do that, but I think just to expedite things, we do have quasi-approval from the DOF and our property management plan to convey the property that the agency owns to the developer, and we may look at options of doing that in January just to keep things moving. So all the hard work that was put in over the last couple of years seems to be paying off, and there should be quite a bit of activity come January.
Is there anything in the horizon for the expansion of the Embassy Suites?
Yes, the owner had indicated that, because that is another project that is an enforceable obligation, maybe by January try to make a decision whether to go forward with the expansion of the embassy as well. He wasn't overly thrilled with the amount of activity this past summer. Although our hotels did very well, for some reason the Disney numbers were off a little bit, and he decided to sort of pause and just see what happened. Yeah. So we were hoping that the success the last few years would have motivated him to go forward, but there was a little bit of a hiccup just within the larger Anaheim resort that caused him to pause a little bit. But hopefully January we'll know if they're going to go forward.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone? Comments? I think that's it. I think we're going to adjourn then until we'll be notified when the next meeting is.
Yeah, there may be some things coming up as these projects start to move forward. There may be various things that we need the Oversight Board to do. So, but I don't think anything before the holidays, right, Jim? I don't think so. Yeah, so stay tuned till January. Could
Okay.
be exciting.
Thank you.
Hey, Christy, we'll clarify what your role is, and if